What's up, everybody? Welcome to Narco Cop MMA, and this is the Lambo Plays Podcast, episode 116, UFC 310. I'm your host, Mike, along with my co-host, Timothy Troiano. Timothy, 14 fight card. Thankfully, we didn't lose a fight. Miraculously, we didn't lose a fight, but we had a week off. We're back with a 14 fight card. Pretty damn good card here. We got one more after this, and then we got about a month off. How do you feel about this card?
I think this card's a really good, exciting card. Got some good fights on it. High-level fighters. I think there's some tough kind of prop situations because there's a lot of like huge lines, but interesting to get your opinion on some of these and try to find some good spots for the people.
Yeah, I also have to mention that the old gloves are back for this one, so that's a good thing. UFC is creating more of the old gloves because they didn't have enough apparently but I think it's going to be a regular thing pretty soon here. I don't understand why it's taking them so long to create gloves. Like, are they not getting a company to do this shit? What's going on? Are they getting them handmade by one person at home or what? Your camera went out oh, there you are. Okay, let me go over to chat. Shout out my chat, and we'll get started with this card. We got a long way to go here. So, Elijah Nuan, let's effing go, my man. No better way to end off the year with cashing a Lambo on the final pay-per-view of the year. Absolutely, my friend. What's up, Mushroom MMA? DA07 says, last two UFC cards of the year. Hope the show can end 2024 with a bang. I hope so as well, my friend. Appreciate you for joining us. LJ AU Coin, let's go Narco. We're going to smash the books again. Absolutely, my man. Joshua Frick, we are back, he says. Thank you. Landon Warner says, one of the best cards of the year. Wacky Iraqi, 2 weeks without UFC has sucked. Tomorrow, we cash. Yes, sir. Jackie Blaine, what's up? Long overdue. Let's effing go. Craig Crowley, how are you doing, my man? Daz Xmas Narco. Yes, baby. This is the Xmas version. We're going to be hitting them left, right, and center. Sujit, let's go. Looking for a 3K week. That is exactly what we need to deliver here. Double flush. What's up, my man? Small world. How are you doing? Sergio, let's effing go. Brian, let's get it, my man. And MMA DGen X, let's do this, my man. 87 in here, Tim. Let's start it off here, man. We got 14 fights to go through here. First fight of the night in the heavyweight division. It is the 13-5 Kennedy and Zechiku versus the 9-5-1 Luque Baresi. And you can have this one, Tim. I don't want to touch this one first, so you can have it.
Yeah, neither do I really. Can pass it back. We'll be passing this one back and forth. I think it's kind of a tougher Lambo one. I think that the most likely outcome is probably a KO from Nchekwa, but there's been fights and you watch him that he just doesn't really push the pedal at all. And I don't know if necessarily he's going to be able to get him out of there. I think there could be a volume edge on the Baresi side if he can stay alive. So I'm going to take a small shot at the Kennedy by decision, plus 370. Don't really hate like the end split. It's kind of a big line at plus 750, but yeah, like Kennedy points plus 370. Hopefully Baresi can survive.
Yeah, I mean, it's heavyweight after all, right? I mean, Kennedy's up at heavyweight now. Yeah, he finished the last one, but was it actually a finish? Like the guy blew out his knee. Barnett, he's probably, if not the worst, maybe second worst heavyweight on the roster, but I would argue he's the worst. And now he faces Luque Baresi, who's, they're kind of similar in size. Baresi is a natural heavyweight, even though he's not like a huge heavyweight, He does some things well, man. Like he kicks pretty decent, he's got okay footwork for a heavyweight, but he also lacks some things, right? He defensively is not very good. His chin is not the best. He doesn't have a lot of power for heavyweight, right? All those things are kind of not very good. But then you watch him and he pulls the win off out of his ass against Walter Walker as a pretty big underdog, you know? And I feel like, yeah, Kennedy's a better striker than Walter Walker, but Walter Walker, I think, offered some things that he can apply against Bresky that were a lot worse for him. Because I think Bresky, like grappling wise, he's terrible. He doesn't have good takedown defense. He's a fish on the ground. We always say this, right? But now we get a guy that's probably just going to strike with him. So, yeah, man, Kennedy decision plus 370. I don't like the way he looked against Barnett. Like, even though he won, like, he wasn't throwing many punches at all. He was constantly kicking. I guess he was taking the path of least resistance. But, yeah, I mean, he's like an instructor now. He's no more longer at Fortis. I don't even know who his coaches are anymore, to be honest. I think Safe might be in his corner, but he doesn't train there anymore. So, yeah, Kennedy decision 370. I mean, I took a poke on Bresky, to be honest, at the money line at plus 450, I believe. I took a poke on him earlier in this week, and I got like a half unit on him. Like, I mean, how bad could that be against a guy like Kennedy?
Yeah, he shit the bed before so many times, as well as, like, I don't know, he didn't separate against guys like Negamarianu. He lost to Ovens. I mean, like, it's just a bunch of times that he's shit the bed in those situations of being a huge
died instantly to Dustin Jacoby somehow, like insta death.
Dawoon Jung phantom elbow through his guard. Like, yeah. I don't know. There's a bunch.
I mean, listen, the thing with Kennedy is, like, I feel like all of his wins are comebacks. They're literally all he's like losing, comeback, losing, comeback. Because he, like, kind of breaks guys with pressure.
Yeah. I don't hate. I mean, like, if you're on Bresky, I mean, I think Bresky split decision at 18-1 is not bad.
Yeah. I don't think it's bad either. Anyways, let's move on here. We don't need to kill it with that one. Fight number 2. It is in the lightweight division. It is the 38-24 Clay Guida versus the 14-3-1 Chase Hooper, and I will take this one. So, like, at first I thought Chase Hooper potentially could just, like, absolutely run through Clay Guida, but, like, when I did more tape on this, and I'm, like, looking at Guida, and he's taking huge shots from Silva on the feet, right? Guy still is pretty damn durable at 40. By the way, he's going to be fighting on his actual birthday, I believe. No, sorry. The day after is his birthday, and he's going to be 43. So the guy is not young. I was under the impression that, maybe Hooper can get on top, maybe on mount and just kind of like land ground and pound and get a finish. But it's like, I went through a lot of tape of Clay Guida, and it's just very hard to see many, if any, guys mounting this guy. Like, he's such a squirmy guy. He's nonstop movement. It's going to be hard. If Hooper holds him down, I'm going to be impressed, because unless it's through a submission. Otherwise, I don't think he's holding him down. And the other thing is, how is he going to take him down, right? I don't think he can take him down, like, wrestling-wise. I think if he gets it on the mat, it's going to be some kind of Imanari roll, grabbing a limb and kind of twisting him up in a limb. So I do think Hooper can find a sub here if he gets a limb and stuff. But I'm going to go kind of sneaky here, man. I'm going to go Hooper decision plus 300. I just think he's improving a bit. He's got a little bit more physicality now. We saw what he did to Slava. He absolutely killed Slava. But, like, this guy's a big-time veteran, and he's very squirmy, man. He's constantly moving. You can't really grab a hold of him because he's nonstop. Yeah, I went with Hooper decision plus 300 here. It is possible he finds a sub, but I was hoping earlier in the week, I'm like, I'm going to play KO 2 and 3. No one's going to even see it, this and that. But it's like, I can't find much tape of this guy on the ground mounted at all against anybody. So it's like, I don't think it's happening on the feet. I'll tell you that. I'll be very, very, unless it's a head kick, I'll be very surprised if he, like, knocks out Guida on the feet. Then again, he's 43. So yeah, I mean, Hooper, decision, plus 300 for me. You, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, I agree that it's going to be hard to get him in mount for the KO, kind of like the Slava position and the positions he's got to before where he's gotten KOs. The KO position for me, I would think would be because, like you're saying, I think Guida is squirmy, and that's why he gets subbed as often as he does. Is that he makes just so many big movements when he's on the ground that just makes mistakes and gives positions up and gives his neck up a lot. I think that the position that he could get KO'd is if he gets his back taken and he gets flattened out. Then I think that the size of Chase in that position could get him. But I just am going to go round 2, which is horrible line, plus 340. Round 3 is plus 550. Maybe taking small stabs, like you said, at the round 2 KO, plus 2,500, plus 3,500. I don't think, like you're saying, I don't think it's like a mounted, can't do anything about it, or like a knockout on the feet situation, even though he was dropping Slava, unless the durability is just off the cliff. I think, like I said, I think it's the only back take and kind of like flatten him out, and then he's just way, way, way bigger.
Yeah, I mean, I was honestly shocked to see 62 fights for Guida, only 2 knockouts, bro. One of them was a knee too. It wasn't even like a normal knockout. He ate a knee against Brian Ortega, and then the other one was against Chad Mendes, who hits very, very hard. But like, fuck, man, 2 knockouts. I mean, I'm looking at the list of who he's faced, and I'm like, how is this guy only knocked out twice? Yeah. Amazing. It's literally amazing that he's only been knocked out twice. But man, he's only been knocked out twice. I mean, it's gonna go eventually. Of course, you know, he's like I said, 43. But man, he took some very, very big shots from Joaquim Silva, and I can tell you right now, Joaquim Silva probably hits 5 times harder than Hooper does. That's the thing. It's like unless it's ground and pound, it's hard for me to envision like Hooper absolutely killing him on the feet, you know? Anyways, let's move on. Fight number 3. It is in the welterweight division. It is the 17-7 Michael Chiesa versus the 20-10 Max Griffin. Tim, this one's yours.
So this is a interesting fight. Both fighters are end of their careers. I don't know which one is more at the end of their career than the other. I tend to think that there's kind of a sneaky sub here for Chiesa. I know that Griffin has never been subbed, but just looking at the fighters that he's fought against, obviously Jeremiah Wells has got really good jiu-jitsu, but I just think I think he went for maybe got him down one time, or maybe he attempted 2 takedowns in that whole fight. It was pretty much just standing up and standing with him and just a low volume striking fight, which was kind of stupid to me. Fighters that don't have as good of wrestling as Chiesa have been able to get Griffin down. I think that Chiesa's like back takes are really, really good. He's quick to get to it. I just like the sub here for Chiesa. I think it's going to be live in this fight if he gets him down for sure. I think the back take's there, and I just think that once that happens, I think it could be the first time that we see Max Griffin ever get subbed. So plus 420 for Chiesa by sub.
Yeah, I'm not going to add too much more to that. I think his sub is live here. The guy, you know, he doesn't have great wrestling, but he just literally gets almost everybody down. That's the thing. He gets almost everybody down. And his back, it's not only his back take, it's his body triangle. It's amazing how quick he sinks in a body triangle against people, man. He hits your back and it's a body triangle instantly. And the transitions to that body triangle are just so fucking good, man. He does it just like, you know, he's done this like all his life. And obviously he's a black belt. He's really good on the ground. He subbed some very, very high level people. I mean, I remember Dariush sub, but I don't remember him subbing Jim Miller too. I'm like, holy fuck, he subbed Jim Miller too. This guy is really like, I mean, he's got very, very good jiu-jitsu. And if he gets your back, you are in deep shit. The other thing with like, okay, Max Griffin's like, yeah, he's never been subbed. It's accurate. He's only been finished once, by the way, in 30 fights. So the guy's extremely durable. But like when you look at the list of who he's fought though, Tim, I can't even find one guy that's a good grappler. like
That
a
was
good
the Wells.
jiu-jitsu guy.
That was all I saw. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, Wells, but Wells didn't even go to wrestle at all
No,
in that fight.
that was my point. Yeah, he was the only one that I
And
could
it's like
say.
I literally looked throughout. I'm like, well, this guy never fought a really good grappler. That's probably why he hasn't been subbed. So I do think it's a close fight. Obviously it's one of those fights. Like if Chiesa can get him down and hold him down and get the back, obviously it's his world. But if it's standing, Chiesa's going to get lit up. He doesn't have good striking, bad striking defense too. I don't care what the numbers say. His striking defense is not very good. So, but yeah, man, Chiesa's sub 420. I was honestly surprised to see the number that big. And I think the only reason, Tim, that we're getting that type of number is because of Griffin never being subbed. Like if they wiki capped and say, oh, fuck, 30 fights, this guy's never been subbed. Well, why would we make it, so small? But yeah, I truly think
the 350 end sub there, Dixon was mentioning that's not bad either, because that covers the potential front choke. I don't think it happens, because Griffin usually, I think he's gone for one sub attempt in like his career in the UFC, and it was on bottom versus Colby on like a Kimura switch. But like, yeah,
I mean, listen, it's 70 cents.
Yeah,
if you feel more comfortable doing that, yes, then by all means go.
But I think it's Chiesa.
Okay. All right. Let's move on here. We're both on the sub there. Fight number 4. It is in the flyweight division. It is the 17-6-1 Cody Durden versus the 11-2 Joshua Van. Very interesting fight. Very good fight here, honestly. Cody Durden, pretty sure wants to get this fight to the ground. Joshua Van wants to keep this upright. Extremely good striking, very good boxing, I should say. He does have some calf kicks in his arsenal. Extremely good body shots, man. The body shots just absolutely cook people. And the pace and cardio on this guy is insane. I mean, the Chiesa fight, he took it on super short notice. Was an absolute fucking war for 3 rounds. He got hurt very bad by a spinning elbow and a knee. He hurt Chiesa extremely bad and almost finished him. We've known before that Durden kind of slows down later in these fights. And like Van is not the guy to slow down against. And he's going to work your body too to make you slow down even earlier. Obviously Durden needs to get the fight to the ground. Will he have success? That's the question that, I do think he can probably land a takedown or 2 or 3. The question is, can he hold him down? And I don't know about that. So I'm going to go with Joshua Van round 2, round 3 here. KO 2-3. You can get 800 and 1300 right now. I gave it earlier in the week. It was much better. The line has come down a lot now. So I still think that, if he begins to cook, and he stuffs takedowns, he's absolutely, in my mind, gonna cook Durden in round 2 and 3. So, yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's 800, 1300 you can get on ESPN. Yeah, man, I feel like he's gonna find the knockout at some point here.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think that it's round 3 or points for Van. I think that, like you said, man, not going to echo chamber at all. I just think Cody, if he, he's wanted to really, like recently, he's had situations where he could grapple guys and he just stood and banged with them. So I do think obviously his best path is gonna be grappling, but the more he grapples, the more tired he's going to get. The more he grapples and doesn't get takedowns, the more in the clinch he's going to have chances for those body shots once he gets out of the clinch positions for Van. And I'm with you. The only thing that the reason why I'm saying round 3 and decision as opposed to round 2, round 3 is I kind of just think that it'll take a little bit longer to cook Cody here. I don't think that he's easy to knock out. Like I think he's a tough guy. I think it's probably going to take a little bit more of a beat down and a little bit more of his cardio to kind of go and be hittable for the finish to happen. And I can also see just an absolute beat the living shit out of him in the end of round 2 and beat the living shit of him round 3 and not finish him. So like plus 310 for points. Round 3 plus 950. You can go the round 3 KO, but I'll just keep the round 3 just to be safer.
Yeah, man. It's going to be an interesting fight because obviously someone said in the chat, like, do we know what his actual ground game is? Like, Van, we don't. It's kind of, we don't know, right? He could be improving. He could be great. I like the sprawls he had against Johnson, but like Cody's going to bring a different level of wrestling. Like the guy's a really good wrestler. I do think he's going to wrestle. There's no doubt in my mind. He's not. It would be the stupidest thing in the world to stand and strike with Van. I mean, it's just not smart. And I think Cody's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. You know, when he needs to strike, he strikes. When he needs to grapple, he grapples. He's a smart guy. So, yeah, interested to see how that ends. Fight number 5. It is in the middleweight division. It is the 16-7 Chris Weidman versus the 16-8 Eric Anders. And this one's yours, Tim.
We went over this one before. I won't. I'm going to give my shortest breakdown ever here. End split. Nothing more, nothing less. Plus 330. Boring ass fight. Want no piece of it whatsoever.
I'm answering M-Base question. Elite. His cardio is elite. Everybody, I listened to some interviews. Everybody in the gym says this guy has like crazy cardio, man. Like insane cardio. So they wrestle a lot in that gym. He's with what's the guy that just retired? Fuck. I can't even remember his name. But he just retired. He's from their gym. He's their like coach, and they do a shit ton of grappling. He said that's all they did this camp is they did a shit ton of grappling. So yeah. This fight here, I want nothing to do with it, Tim. I really don't. I didn't want to do anything with it the first time. I don't want to do anything with it the second time. I'm hearing Anders in no, not Damon Jackson, Pineda. Good job, JB. I'm hearing Eric Anders saying that he's going to retire after his contract is done. He literally said the retire word after his contract is done. He's only got 2 fights. I think this and another one. The guy has all these businesses. He's a coach. He trains in, I don't know where he trains anymore. He's in some gym in Alabama, I guess. And the guy's kind of checked out, honestly. He's 1 foot out the door. Then you look at Weidman, and I think both of his knees are out the door. And it's like, dude, the guy looked, yeah, he won last fight, but like I poked Silva 15 times before he won. Like that ref was brutal in that fight, man. And, you know, he went to the scorecards, he won. But like, I can't imagine Silva in that fight, Tim. There's no way he could see straight. There's no fucking way. The guy's probably seeing 5 fucking Weidmans throwing punches at him. And it's like, it was a brutal fucking fight. But, I mean, Weidman got it done, but I mean, I had, you know, this guy's 40 years old. Very, very bad knees at this point. And like I mentioned against Anders, you know, I got dropped by Pickett last fight. I mean, there's nothing really much to say here. The one thing I will say is I'm just going to play Anders KO plus 480. It's not a real confident pick. I'll be honest with you. I just think like he still carries some power, and like Weidman is still shaky to me. I really don't know what to make of a 40-year-old Weidman, you know, on shaky. Maybe Anders kicks him 3 times and this guy blows his knee or something. You know, I don't know, but I'm just gonna take the guy that's a little bit like more youthful and hasn't gone through like a million injuries and stuff like that. So yeah, KO for Eric Anders. Next fight number 6. It is in a welterweight division. It is the 19-5 Randy Brown versus the 11-2 Brian Battle. And Brian Battle, as we know, missed weight. Extremely embarrassing, honestly. 4 pounds? He missed by 4 pounds. Apparently he's going through a lot of life problems. Maybe through a divorce here, I'm hearing. So there's a lot of attributes to why maybe he missed the weight here. I'm not sure what it is. But the one thing I know off of tape is this guy is very hittable. Like, he gets hit in almost every single fight, Brian Battle. His defense is just not there. He wants to close the distance. He wants to just land a lot of volume on you and just break you, right? But the problem is, and if you notice last fight against Jusei, he got hit a lot. His head was snapped back probably 10 times, right? But Jusei just stays right there in the pocket and just throws arm punches, right? He's throwing arm punches, and it's hard to knock someone out when you're throwing arm punches, right? He's not sitting down on his shots. But then you look at Brown, and bro, he is absolutely throwing that right hand like a piston. You know, he's got a very good jab. The right hand he turns over, and it's long as shit. So if he catches you on the end of it, you're probably going to go down. He hurts a lot of people. I mean, he hurt Chaos Williams, man. And we know Chaos Williams has one of the best chins in the game, you know? So Randy Brown literally can knock almost anybody out when he lands flush. And Battle's going to give him that opportunity to land flush. He just is. That's just the way he fights. And if that's the case, Brown is plus 700 by KO, man. Like, listen, this guy got dropped by Renat Fakhrdinov, who's a wrestler. You can't tell me that Randy Brown cannot fucking drop this guy and maybe even finish him. So I'm going plus 700 here, Randy Brown. I like Brian Battle, but he's just way, way too hittable for me against a good striker in Brown. Now, I can also see Brian Battle possibly breaking him. You know, I don't know, but you know, missing weight, maybe he wants to be a weight bully. I don't know, but I like this line. I saw 700. I think it's off. I played the plus 700 on Brown. What do you have here, Tim?
Yeah, I just scribbled out the one that I'm gonna not pick. I had like both sides. I think that this fight could really go either way. Like you said at the end of your breakdown, like Battle cooking him would not be a surprise to me at all. It's just really what he's been doing. He's just recently just been showing insane cardio, insane durability and pace on guys, and just breaks guys and is just a cardio bully. So I wouldn't be shocked at that. I think it's also, we've seen Brown take some shots before and kind of get cooked in some of these fights, similar to the JDM fight. But I'm going to go with Brown by decision plus 500 and Brown by split decision plus 1,200. Similar kind of mindset. Like, Jusei, if he had any footwork whatsoever, just the same thing, like hit the ability to hit Brian Battle is going to be there. And just, I think both these guys are size bullies and usually have major length on guys. And I just think that now you have one guy that still is longer and still is bigger than the other, not weight wise, but just longer and quicker. So I think it's going to be Brown trying to basically scoot away from the fight a lot, and Battle's going to need to be chasing him around and doing his best to try to get in a range. And I just think that that's going to make Brown's game more obvious for what he needs to do. If he gets into a firefight with him, he's probably fucked. So yeah, I just think stay at range, have the bigger shots, use your footwork and your length, and hopefully get a split decision or a decision win for Brown here. Yeah, it's like I was thinking, like, for the people I know, you and I had bets on Jusei, which wasn't good, but it's just like, it's so hard to get off of like fading somebody with Jusei and then not fade them with a much, much, much better fighter at a better line. It's like, yeah, it would be a bad feeling to lose that.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't play Brown, but I agree with you. I mean, I tried to fade Battle with Jusei, it didn't work out, and I kind of felt like the line moved so much. I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking, you know, chase it, you know, like it moved down so much. It's like I missed almost 200. Now I want to play 160. You know, it's just not good. Let's move on. Fight number 7. It is in the featherweight division. It is the 18-0 Movsar Evloev versus the 24-4 Aljamain Sterling. Great fight, Tim. This one's yours, my man.
I like Aljo here. I think the people that got in the plus 220 or higher or plus 200s on him got really good lines. I think that this line, I honestly, I don't get the line, to be honest. Like, you have a guy fighting his toughest competition yet, past champion. Aljo won the first round in an absolutely ugly fashion versus Sean O'Malley, striking without really grappling at all, and then stupidly went in for the takedown and from 10 miles away and got dropped. But he did win the first round. He was winning the first round against Jan until he got basically dropped in the end of their first round in the DQ fight. He was able to get Jan down twice and take his back twice. And I think that the takedown defensive wrestling, not offensive wrestling from Peter Yan is better than Evloev. I think Evloev has gotten taken down. His defensive wrestling has not been necessarily great versus worse fighters than Aljo. So I'm not like convinced that the wrestling is just like, D1 wrestler versus high school JV wrestler here, which I think a lot of people are pretty much predicting it to be. Evloev also seems to be like, I don't know, to me it just seems like lucky as shit in getting out of some of these subs that he's gotten out of. Like a lot of people will say that it's like, oh, this is a insane, oh, he's just got great defensive jiu-jitsu. It's just like, I mean, he's just barely getting out of these subs. Like, and again, minus Diego Lopes, who I think has a very good, offensive jiu-jitsu and submissions, like Nick Lentz and Grundy putting him in the positions that he's in. And if he gives up these positions to Aljo is going to sub him, I think. So Aljo subs 11-1. Aljo by split is 9-1. I think that those are both really good options. I think Aljo is the side for me. It's either a close, gritty decision where either person is pissed off at their loss and when you're betting either side. So why not take the plus 900 on the split for him? And then the sub for him at being at 11. I was like 11-1. I was expecting like 6 or 7-1 for him by sub in this fight. So I think 11-1 for Aljo sub is really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I see all the reasoning for Aljo, and I kind of wanted to play him, but like I have a hard time seeing how he wins this fight, honestly, because I just think Evloev is the better wrestler of the two, right? When it comes to just straight up wrestling, I think he's the better wrestler, and he's the much better striker. Like striking is looking really good, man, and look what he did to Arnold Allen, man. Arnold Allen's a damn good striker, man. He fucked up his face on the feet. And then you look at Dan Ige. He fucked up Dan Ige on the feet. And it's like Aljo's probably 5 steps down from those two guys on the feet, He's just not a very good striker. He's janky. He's weird. He's weird to gauge, but like his striking is just not very good. And Evloev is going to be the type of guy that he's not going to be one of those guys that's too concerned with the wrestling because he has very good wrestling himself. So it's not like it's going to be, some of these other guys like O'Malley, he was just really afraid to get caught and he was very cautious. He couldn't throw hands. No, I think Evloev is going to throw hands. He's not going to be scared. And, I agree with you. He puts himself in a lot of bad spots. I 100% agree. You didn't even mention the Arnold Allen one where he had to gator roll. Like he was in a deep, deep DARS. He had to literally gator roll out of it. But man, the guy is just like on everything though, man. He looks incredible shape. I know so does Aljo. But I kind of feel like it's his time, man. I don't want to fade this guy here. I think if you play Aljo, honestly, I agree with you. Split or decision. I don't think he's subbing this guy. I really don't. Because I feel like Aljo's sub is a back take. It's just all of his subs, right? And I don't think he's getting to this guy's back. I don't think so. He's too good of a wrestler. He's too good of a scrambler for Aljo to get his back. Now maybe he does.
Yeah, he's gotten his back taken before, but it's like it's when he gets taken down that he tries to get up so fast that he gives up his back in the similar way that Jan gave up his back. The exact same way.
I mean, it's possible. Don't get me wrong. Anything is possible. Aljo's a damn good grappler, but it's also, here's the other thing that no one's mentioning. Is it not possible that Evloev gets him down as on top of him?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it could be where a scenario where Evloev is dominating the wrestling and he's on top of Aljo. You know what I'm saying? So Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like Evloev KO might happen, honestly, just because. And the reason why I think that is because I do think his striking, his power is underrated. Yes, he's been to a million decisions in the UFC. I agree. But when I went through each and every one of these guys, Tim, maybe not Sung Woo Choi, because I think Sung Woo Choi is definitely killable and he didn't kill him. But every guy after Sung Woo Choi, all those guys are fucking durable as shit. You go from Grundy to Lentz to Duaru to Ige to Lopez. Nobody kills those guys. You know what I'm saying? So he's dealt with a lot of very unbreakable people. And meanwhile, I'm not saying Sterling is easy to finish. Don't get me wrong. But like, he pretty much got one punched by Sean O'Malley. And Sean O'Malley hits hard. But, he's been knocked out before. And I do think Evloev hits very hard. And so I'm kind of going to go with the KO here, Tim. It's plus 600. It's not the best price either. And that's the other thing. I'm like suspicious. Like, why the hell is this KO so low, man? It's very damn low. I honestly, I'm looking at him like, he has no fucking KOs in the UFC. Why are they putting this guy's KO so low against a guy like Aljamain? And honestly, I don't know why, but I do think he cracks, though. That's the thing. I do think he cracks. And so I do think he can find the KO. And if he hits him with the shots that he hit Arnold Allen with, I don't think he's surviving. I honestly don't. Even Ige. Like, Ige's tough as shit. We know that. If he lands the shots that he landed on Ige and Arnold Allen, there's no doubt in my mind he would KO Sterling. But yeah, we'll see. It's gonna be an interesting fight. I like Aljo. I think he's a great fighter, but maybe his time has come, man. We'll see. Moving on, fight number 8. It is in the welterweight division. It is the 22-10-1 Vicente Luque versus the 14-4 Themba Gorembo. I mean, here's the thing. Like, Luque, this fight is so hard to bet. I honestly, I've heard like a lot of like takes from people where they feel like, Luque is definitely the side here. He's much more skilled. And I agree. I agree with almost all those takes. Like, yes, he's the much more skilled guy. Yes, he should not be this big of a dog against a guy like Themba. But there's things to talk about, right? Like, this guy literally quit. Literally fucking quit in his last fight. And he went on record when they asked him in the press conference at the media day. They said, what happened in the Buckley fight? He said, I know it was a bad look. I know this. And to be honest, yeah, I quit. He fucking said he quit. Listen to the media day. He literally said he quit. And I'm like, hold on a second. You're a fucking UFC fighter and you quit? What do you mean you quit? You're like one of the top guys in the welterweight division at one point, and he literally said he quit. And then the other thing is, you listen to Buckley's interview, and Buckley's like, I didn't even hit him. I didn't even land on him. I have no idea what happened. The guy just wouldn't move anymore. And it's like, how can you possibly put money on this guy, right? I can't, because maybe one punch lands and he's just going to be like, he had a brain bleed, right? He's very scared, probably for his life at certain points. And, I don't blame him in a way. I don't even think he should have been back, honestly. You got a brain bleed, be a coach, be something. Everybody loves you. He's a nice guy. Why come back? I don't think that he has a title run in him. Why the fuck are you coming back? I know you need money, but, even the RDA fight, he wasn't reacting well to punches. He reverted to wrestling, which, listen, I think he can revert to wrestling here, honestly. I think he's the better wrestler of the two. I know Themba is supposedly he's a great wrestler, but I think Luque is going to be stronger, and I think Luque can get him down. So, I have a sneaky one here, Tim. Luque by decision, plus 470. Stay safe, leg kicks, takedowns, maybe win a decision. The guy doesn't want to strike anymore. It's clear as fucking day to me watching his last 2 fights, even the RDA, he does not want to strike no more. He doesn't want to throw his hands. He wants to kick. While he keeps his hands up, he wants to kick, but he just does not want to fucking strike no more with his hands. So, yeah, Luque decision plus 470. I mean, Themba, I wasn't impressed with this price fight, man. He gassed. He looked like shit. He barely got those takedowns at the end, and it's only because Price has no knees, no takedown defense. But he looked like dog shit in that fight. I'm sorry. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That was not a good look from him against a guy like Nico Price, who's absolutely shot at this point in his career. So, yeah, Luque plus 470 decision, man.
Well, it's good that you said that because I was going back and forth on whether I thought it was going to be Luque decision or Luque sub for me here, and that covers the people on both sides. Like I can't watch like any of these Themba fights and be like, I mean, don't get me wrong, Themba could easily like KO Luque in the same quitting fashion. So like, I'm not trying to say that like, oh, this is like a clear bet for Luque. If obviously if the Buckley fight never happened, then this line would be like minus 300 for Luque. So it's we can't go on based on that. The Luque Buckley fight did happen. We did see what happened. It was confirmed, like what you just said, that he absolutely did quit. So I mean, those are just obviously huge red flags to bet on a fighter in this situation. So is it possible that Themba can hit him once and he just gives up? Yes, absolutely. But the non-give up aspect of this fight, the non-quit aspect of this fight, there's just no way that you can tell me that like Themba's going to have more success wrestling than guys like Bilal and like just certain fighters where you're just like, okay, these guys are way better fighters. And the fact that like, okay, defensive wrestling, I know RDA is old, but like if you put RDA even versus Themba, I think RDA could wrestle fuck Themba. So it's just like, I know he's old and small for the division, but I don't know. I just think that sub for Luque, if Themba shoots or gets hit or gets kicked a couple times and shoots one bad takedown, he's getting darsed. Like,
well, I agree with you 100%. I think sub is very live if this guy fucks around and goes for the legs,
Totally.
He didn't do it against, what's the last guy he fought? Not last guy. Huh? Brahima. He was going for mostly trip takedowns, and maybe he was aware that Brahima has good like jiu-jitsu, and he's like, fuck, maybe I'll get you. I don't know, but it would absolutely be fucking stupid to go for the legs against Luque. Luque has one of the nastiest dart strokes in MMA. He's gonna get him with it.
I think he's gonna catch him with it if he goes. But I also don't disagree with yours that like calf kicks, stay at range, takedowns, stay and hold on top position, kind of like he did against RDA, and just be like, I'm just riding this fight out. So yeah, I like sub, but I like the fact that you also like.
I mean, what's Themba gonna do on bottom? He ain't sweeping Luque.
No chance. Tell you that. No chance.
It's like he's not gonna look good on bottom. He was looking like shit on bottom against what's the guy that got cut? Fletcher. He looked like shit on bottom against, but Fletcher's such a bonehead. He got reversed like 2 different times. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting fight. I can't click that money line on Luque, man. I can't.
No way.
Yeah, I just can't. Like if he was plus 300 or something, I would click it just for the hell of it. Like, okay, if he's washed, he's washed. But it's just like, it's like plus 150, 130. I'm not going to play that. Let's move on. Fight number 9. It is in the light heavyweight division. It is the 37-20 Anthony Smith Lionheart versus the 13-4 Dominic the Destroyer Reyes, and this one's your Tim.
Yeah, I mean, this is like giant douche versus turd sandwich here. I think this is you got to bet Reyes here. I mean, you got to or not got to bet him, but you have to think like he's the side minus a crazy bonk or something like that. I don't think that Anthony Smith at this point has got, he's got like 1 foot in the cage, 1 foot out, and just doesn't seem to be like super, super dangerous anymore. Minus meme sub 14-1 versus Vitor Petrino. Thanks again for that, Anthony Smith. But Yeah, I like Reyes. I was going back and forth if I thought it was like KO one or points. I kind of think that those are the paths for him. I think that if he KOs him, it's probably early. Reyes can get a little bit tired in fights, so I'll go decision for Reyes and hope that Anthony Smith can survive a little bit longer than he did versus Khalil Roundtree. So let's hope that he can get that. Reyes points is plus 330. Not super confident in it. I think the KO is equally as live, or just probably even a little bit more live in the early parts of the fight.
Yeah, another fight where, I mean, did you listen to Media Day for Anthony Smith by any chance? The interview? Oh my God. It's the craziest interview I've ever heard. Basically says, I don't give a fuck if I win. I don't care what happens. No, I'm serious. He literally said, I don't give a fuck if I win. I don't care what happens. All I want to do in this fight is have violence. I want to smash somebody. And the reason why he said all this is because his mentor, his coach, his whatever, passed away like 3 or 4 weeks ago. And this guy's been in shambles. And I don't think he trained after that. Like the last 3 weeks or something, this guy didn't train. He was in a bad place. And he even said it. He's like, I was in a bad place. I couldn't even think. But the only reason I want to fight in this fight is because I want to take my anger out on the other guy. Like I want to smash.
There goes my Reyes point.
I'm serious. That's what he said.
Yeah,
literally, that's what I said. And when I heard this, I'm like, this guy's being genuine, man. This guy's really hurt because his coach, his mentor is gone, man. He meant everything to him. Apparently, this guy was like his dad, his mentor. You name it. He was there for him. So, I'm playing the Reyes KO, man. KO 1, KO 2. It comes out to about plus 150. KO 1 is 330. KO 2, 330 on Rivers. KO 2 is 500. I think it happens in one, to be honest. The way this guy's talking, he's going to come out like a bat out of hell. And just like, he's like, I'm either going to kill the guy or he's going to kill me. That's literally what he said. He's like, I'm going to try to smash him. That's it. I'm trying to get all my anger out. He's either going to kill me or I'm going to kill him. So, and I think he's going to get killed. He's going to be so reckless. He's not fighting smart, all that stuff. But, Reyes is kind of hard to trust too, man. He had that really bad blood clot thingy going and he got brutally knocked out, So, yeah, I mean, it's not like this is huge confidence, but it's more of a fade on Anthony Smith and what's going on in his life and how he's talking, just seems like he doesn't even give a shit anymore about fighting. So, yeah, KO 1, KO 2 for Dominic Reyes. Sorry. Moving on, fight number 10. It is in the featherweight division. It is the 18-5 Nate Landwehr versus the 15-4-1 Du Ho Choy. I think this is going to be, I'm going to call it right now, fight of the night for UFC 310. I think this is going to be the fight of the night. It's going to be an absolute war. From the minute this fight starts, I think it's going to be a war. That's just how both of these guys fight, actually. Du Ho Choy fights like a madman. Nate the Train, we already know what he does. I expect this fight, honestly, Tim, Nate the Train to probably get hurt early per usual. And if Du Ho Choy can't finish him, he's going to cook his ass. He's literally going to cook his ass. So I'm going to go with the cook part, Tim. It's round 2, Nate Landwehr, 850. Round 3, Nate Landwehr, 1100. And I think the KO lines are pretty juicy here. If you wanna hit those, like maybe mix it up a little bit. But yeah, I think he gets it done by KO. But I'm not gonna mess around and just play KO 2, KO 3. It's 2-3 for me, and I'm gonna sprinkle some of those KO ones. Tim?
Same exact breakdown. I think you get like system bet on Nate round 2, round 3 after he loses round 1 or gets bloody, waits to get hit, gets hit a couple times, and then goes full berserker mode. I do think that somebody dies as well. I was leaning like if the fight did go that this is like a classic, like everybody thinks the fight is gonna be finished and then it's an end split and you're both like you said it's just like both guys are bloody to hell and like Judge Adelaide Bird and you're like, oh, the split just hit at plus 650. So like I don't hate the end split at plus 650, but I do like the Nate round 2, round 3 as well.
All right. Let's move on. Fight number 11. It is in the featherweight division again. It is the 16-2 Bryce Mitchell versus the 5-2 Crone Gracie. And that one's yours, Tim.
Oh, what is this line if the Crone versus Jourdain never happened? That's the thing. And obviously we can't do this. We was talking about this with the Buckley fight versus Luque. But to me, it's just like sometimes you just got to like take an outlier performance or just a dog shit performance and say, all right, it was bad. Like it was bad performance. Jourdain pulled guard. He's butt scooting. He looked like he was on crack in the fight. Like just, yeah, it was a bad fight. So if you look at the Cub Swanson fight for Kron, dude fighting through adversity, maybe wins a round striking versus him. Like 30-27 across the board, but I thought it was a little bit closer than unanimous 30-27. I think Cub won for sure, but again, if he puts out that performance, this line is going to be fucking stupid, and people are going to be looking back at their bets or parlays of Bryce Mitchell and wondering what the hell they were doing. Don't get me wrong. I think that Bryce most likely wins, probably decision. It's going to be really hard for him to KO. It's going to be hard for him to sub Kron. So it's most likely that, but then you're looking at a minus 200 or minus 170. And I'm not in that business. So I'm going to take, here's the thing. I was going to break down with you, goes into decision is minus 225 and split plus 400 in a fight, which is minus minus 800 for Bryce Mitchell, and the end split is plus 400. So how's that work out? What are they saying that the fight is actually going to be close and that they think it should be like a plus 600. It's like a minus 800 favorite, right? So to me, that seems really, really off that the fight is minus 225. And then you have one of the fighters' decision prop is 11-1 and his split decision prop is 25-1. I just think that those are stupid lines. I think also that Kron could guard sub him potentially more likely than, I just think it's more likely than people would think at 12-1, but I'll take the points 11-1, 25-1 on the split decision for Kron. I just think that they're stupid lines based on what their other lines are, and the decision goes to decision and the end split lines. I just think that they're worth stabs at those types of, very small lunch money sprinkles. I wouldn't be shocked if Kron subs him though, even from guard.
I mostly agree with you, but I saw something in weigh-ins that I did not like from Kron, whether it be, I don't know if it was cramps or I don't know what it was, but the dude couldn't walk right, man. He was limping. I feel like it's his right leg, because if you look on his Instagram, there's one photo where he's jacked to the gills, but he's got it looks like a huge fucking brace on his right leg, right knee. I kind of feel like he's compromised, honestly. I really do. I think there's something wrong with that right leg or right knee. Again, guys, I don't have info. I don't have anything. I just watched the weigh-ins. I saw that this guy wasn't walking properly to me at all, up and down. He just wasn't looking good. And then I see in that Instagram photo, with him with that big ass brace on his knee, I kind of think he's compromised, honestly. And that's why I'm going with the KO 2-3 here for Mr. Bryce Mitchell. It's plus 1200 KO 2-3 here. I can't overlook what I saw. And I agree with your breakdown. I think this line is probably a bit too wide and stuff like that, but I do think that Bryce is better than some of these other guys on top. Like a guy like Jourdain on top is not like Bryce Mitchell on top. And a guy like, who's the other guy that got on top of him? It's just not the same. Bryce Mitchell's going to try to pass. If he gets to mount, he's going to try to smash him, So, and he's got a better jiu-jitsu game than those guys. So I'm going to go with KO 2-3 here. It's plus 1200. I think Kron Gracie he's compromised, one. And, the guy's just not fighting, man. He opened his own gym. It didn't go well for his own gym. He said he had to close it down. And now he's just training in some little basement or something with other fighters. small group. So again, it's speculation. If you go back and watch you guys watch the weigh-ins and tell me, what he looks like when he's walking there to the scales and walking back. Like
what was the line you got on KO 23?
1,200.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, I mean his regular KO is very high. I think KO by itself is like 700 or 650, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I mean it's a big line because Kron is tough. Like he's not easy to KO, and obviously Mitchell doesn't even have any KOs. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's 650. Regular KO 650, KO 2-3 is 1,200. Yeah, I mean it's just how I feel. One guy looking like he's compromised. I'm gonna take a shot here. Fight number 12. It is in the heavyweight division. It is the 12-2 Ciryl Gane versus the 38-10 Alexander Volkov. I am gonna go with split here, Tim. It's plus 500 on BetOnline. It's the best line, by the way, on BetOnline. I watched her. Okay, here everybody says like watch their first fight. Why is this fight happening? What? First fight is 5 rounds. Completely different. You train completely differently for a 5-round fight. 2, Volkov looked like a glob of shit in that fight. Like horrible he looked. Like I'm talking about physically, right? He just didn't even look like he trained for that fight. He was tired near like the end of round 1. 3, Volkov lives in the U.S. the past 2 and 3 years. He's doing a lot of stuff with good trainers. And if you look at his physique at weigh-ins, he looks completely different. He's doing a lot of strength and conditioning at the PI. If you listen to his interview, he tells you, I've learned so much while I've been out here training out here. I live out here now with my family. I feel completely different. I feel like I'm a way better fighter than I once was. So, yes, is Ciryl Gane a way better striker? 100%. He's faster. You name it. But when you go back and look at the first fight, round 1 is a very competitive round up until the end of the round when Ciryl Gane lands 2 to 3 punches and probably steals the round. But Volkov outstruck him in round 1 by like 10 strikes. Round 2, again, is super close. And I gave it to Ciryl Gane. And then he starts pulling away in the later rounds, right? This is a 3-round fight, man. Like, Ciryl Gane's not going to... Everybody seems to think he can grapple Volkov. I don't think so. He's not fucking getting Volkov down.
Yeah, if anybody's grappling the other, it's Volkov grappling Gane.
Yeah, it's like people seem to think Gane can grapple him. I don't see it, dude. He tried the first time. He didn't even sniff it.
Yeah, I don't think
so. I like Volkov here, man. I mean, at the end of the day, I like Volkov, but the split is plus 500. I'm playing that, but Volkov split is like, I don't know, it's a huge number.
12-1.
How much? 12-1?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think Volkov's the side at these prices, man. The other thing I did want to say, in the first fight, Gane came into that fight undefeated. It's a different feeling when you're undefeated. You feel like you cannot lose, right? We need to talk about these things in the first fight because it's a real thing with fighters. When they're undefeated, it feels like they cannot lose. This guy's already lost twice now. It's not the same thing anymore. He knows he can lose. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, I just feel like the experience, I think the training thing, regimen in the U.S., living in the U.S., the PI, the strength and conditioning, his physique. Just look at him at weigh-ins. He looks like a different fighter. So, yeah, man, I just think Volkov has value here. I think he has big value here. And I wouldn't be surprised if he won a decision. Even like I know Gane has very good striking defense and he moves very well, but like Volkov was landing a lot of fucking big leg kicks on him in that fight. So I could see him chopping him with those leg kicks. He landed a ton of them in the first fight. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, I don't from a Lambo's perspective, I mean, I think it's end split, Volkov split, like you said. I will say I do think that this is a Gane decision, most likely. He is just way faster, way more athletic. He was beating Volkov to the jab, even though Volkov is way longer and way taller. Just the speed of being able to get in and out. His head strike count was like 60-40. I think, like you said, the first fight, round 1, was Volkov's best round. And I just kind of seemed like Gane was getting his reads there. I don't know that he's going to necessarily get his reads as much or need to get his reads as much in this fight, having already fought him, and not necessarily worrying at all about some grappling in this fight. So it's just like he's going to be going into it kind of knowing what he saw the last time, remembering what he saw the last time fighting this guy. So, I do think Volkov's win condition is a close, greasy split. So 12-1, and that's not bad. So, yeah, same thoughts.
All right, let's move on. Fight number 13. It is in the welterweight division. It is the 18-0 Shavkat Rakhmonov versus the 15-0 Ian Machado Garry. Man, this is a banger of a fight. 33-0 between these two guys. You really don't see that a lot in the UFC, right? Like this kind of like later in their careers. 2 undefeated guys, co-main event. I will say it's 5-round, guys. This is a 5-round co-main event, title eliminator. So, Tim, this one's yours. So, let us know what we have here with this interesting fight.
So I like the Shavkat side in this fight. I think that there's a lot of there's just so many better things that he has from durability standpoint, more power on the feet. Do I think that Ian Garry is more technical in his striking? Yes. Does that mean that I think he's a better striker? Not necessarily. So I just think that there's a chance. There's just more chances for and paths for Shavkat to win this fight. Shavkat's lethal in the clinch. He's got insane, he has one-shot power to be able to knock down Garry. He's got, if he gets on top of Garry, Gary's pretty much fucked. I think that there's a lot of just Gary's got to fight a really, really clean fight for 25 minutes to win this fight. So to me, I also think there's a narrative, not a narrative, but the 25% wrestling, takedown offense accuracy for Shavkat. He's a body lock takedown guy. He's like a Greco takedown guy. He's goes body locks and trips, and he's not a single or a double leg. He cage pushes and clinches, holds until he can then get you down. So I also think that, I know Darian Weeks got Ian Garry down. Gabe Green got Ian Garry down. Kanan Song got Ian Garry down. None of those guys have the wrestling that Shavkat has. None of them. So I don't think that it's oh, this is going to be so hard for him to get it. I'm not saying it's not going to be hard, but I think that he's a better wrestler than all of those guys, and he's got way better clinch than all those guys. So that the second that you are just defending a takedown against him in the cage, he's going to fuck you up, and he's going to just beat the shit out of you. So I think Shavkat finishes him in rounds 2, 3, or 4. Rounds 2 is plus 500. I'd lean 3 or 4, but I think he could get him in end of round 2. Plus 550s. 3 is plus 750. Round 4 is plus 1,000. I think it's most likely a sub. It needs to be said too that video that Ian Garry was putting out to show them practicing and striking, and that he was doing well in the striking. Shavkat confirmed that he subbed him later on in that video and that they cut that out. So I thought that was pretty interesting that he actually did say that, because I think that's usually taboo to talk about that stuff. But I guess when Ian put the tape out, that he's like, oh, well, he put the tape out, so I got to tell people how this actually finished. So I would lean that it's probably a sub, but I wouldn't be shocked if he gets ground and pounded either. But lean sub.
Yeah. It's a very interesting fight from the sense that I do think Garry from the outside is the better striker. If they're sitting outside at distance, I think Garry can land on him pretty good. I mean, he's a technical striker. I mean, he's really good at it. His defense obviously is not the best, because once he gets in close in the pocket, he gets hit and he seems to get hurt a lot. He dropped this and that, and Shavkat, we know, is super durable, man. Some of those shots he was taken from Neil were crazy. And the problem for Ian Garry here is, first of all, it's 5 rounds. So he's got to be running for his life for 5 rounds. Like, he's literally got to circle, kick, jab, do whatever he can for 5 rounds, right? And we saw, even with like Michael Page, there was portions of the fight where Page was getting to him. He eventually caught up to him, and like a guy like Shavkat has so many tools. He can go to grappling, he can go to the clinch, and that's my biggest concern for Ian Garry. Like, if he gets in the clinch with Rakhmonov, he is in big trouble, man. And we watched a Neil fight against Garry, and Neil had him up against the cage about throughout the fight. I want to say like at least 3 to 4 minutes. He had him up against it. Now, Neil doesn't really do a lot of work on the cage. Like, he's a boxer. You know what I'm saying? If he was 3 to 4 minutes on the cage against Shavkat, he's going to get cooked so bad with knees and elbows. He's going to get killed, man. He's literally going to get killed. Look at what Rakhmonov was doing to Neil, to the body with those knees, man. They were so nasty. Like, he's just going to break. He's going to break Ian Garry if that happens, man. And I feel like it's going to happen. There's no way he's going to run for 5 rounds. I don't see it. And so KO 3, 4, 5 is for me, is where I'm going here, Shavkat. I feel like it's KO. I don't think it's sub. I know everybody's kind of like, hey, sub, because, he says he subbed him and thing. But you got to remember, when they're sparring, he's not trying to knock him out, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're sparring, yeah, maybe they're trying to sub each other because that's easy. But you're not trying to fucking knock your sparring partner out, and here he's going to try to knock him out, So, yeah, 3, 4, 5 for me, man. Plus 750 on Shavkat. I think he's very, very live to finish him later here. And I think it's going to come via clinch work, honestly. I think he's going to cook him in the clinch eventually. As Ian Garry kind of slows down, I think he's going to be able to get to him. Now, if you're playing Garry, in my opinion, like, I just think you should play him by decision. I don't think he's winning any other way. I really don't. I would be shocked if he wins any other way. So,
yeah, the other thing I forgot to say was, like, from the striking perspective is, like, Jordan Williams was like winning round 1 until he got bonked, and then Kenan Song dropped him. Like, all of these situations where it's just like you said, that maybe he's technically better from an offensive perspective, but like he gets hit in so many of these fights, and I just think that the power that you have with Shavkat, like, dude, he could easily just club and sub him. He could easily even knock him out on the feet. Like, it's not going to take that many. If you're just saying, like, taking one shot and either one guy is taking the other one's biggest shot, like, I just don't think that he can take it.
Durability wise, I think he's much better too. Like, he's just way durable, way more durable. All right, before we move on to the main event, shout out to 378 live viewers. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for being in here. Thank you to everybody in chat for keeping it lively in there. If you do want to subscribe to my Discord, it's down below, Dub Club. The link is down below in the description. $25 a month. I have been absolutely cooking in the NFL. If for the people that are in there, they could tell you how many ladders I've hit the last 3 to 4 weeks. It's insane. But anyways, let's move on, Tim. It is the main event of the night, and it is in the flyweight division. It is the 28-5 champion, Alexandre Pantoja, versus the 21-4 Kai Asakura, and I will kick this one off. I mean, this is one of those fights where, like, it can happen both ways. I first of all, I think Asakura can knock him out, but I also feel like Pantoja can easily sub him. And it's like, which one am I going to go with? I'm going to go with the path of least resistance, and that's Pantoja by sub. And I'm going to specifically go sub 2, 3, 4, honestly. Not sub 1, not sub 5. I'm going right in the middle, Tim. 2, 3, 4. It's plus 450. Pantoja came in amazing shape, man. I was looking at him on the scales, and I'm like, hold on a second. This guy looks like, he's either drinking a lot of, like, good cow milk, or he's just taking very good vitamins. Like, it's one of one or the other. He looks in amazing shape. Asakura does look a little bit like sucked out. I know he looked fine. He made weight easily. He looks a little bit sucked out on the scales. You know, it's his first time at 25 in a long time. So, but yeah, man, I guess you could say there's levels to the grappling here, and the levels of grappling are hugely different. So, 234 for me, Pantoja plus 450. That's how I'm going to go here. I think he's going to get him down a little bit after this guy slows a little bit, and then Pantoja is going to go to work on him, in my opinion.
Yep. I have Pantoja sub. I put I'm going to bet it different. I'm going to bet it differently, but it's basically the same thing as what yours is. I'm going to take like the sub 2-3 plus 600, and then the sub 3-4-5. They're both 600, but I mean, it's basically the same thing. Like it's just covering on the round 4 for the 5 and the second one, and then I hope it happens in 3. Happens in 3. But I actually probably might just do 2-3-4 and then 3-4-5. But it's the Asakura was getting taken down and mounted back takes versus guys that are just not anywhere near Pantoja's level in grappling. So like Pantoja is probably one of the best back takers ever in UFC. So I just feel like it's a situation where, and it's also like, does the guy show, fight IQ every fight to grapple? Yes. Does he show that he's got cardio to do it for 5 rounds? Yes. So it's just like, this is another one of those situations with like Ian Garry, where it's like, dude, Asakura better bonk him early. Otherwise he needs to be able to do this and stay away from these takedowns for 5 rounds. So it's going to be really hard for him to do that. I think it's probably more likely, like you're saying, that Pantoja, like the gap striking versus the gap grappling is just gigantic here. Like I think there is a Asakura edge on striking, but let's not also forget that Asakura has been knocked out 3 times as well. So like he's pretty wild, and I do think that Pantoja hits hard enough and probably has enough on the feet to be able to make him worry about the feet to get the takedowns. So yeah, with you 100% here.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very exciting fight. The thing you have to look for is the intercepting knees.
Yeah,
from Asakura. Like when this guy shoots, it could be very, very dangerous. Like Pantoja is one of those guys that he has like a granite chin, but it's breaking pretty soon. Like there's no doubt in my mind. Like it's gonna break. You can't just keep eating flush shots all the time. Eventually, that's gonna crack. And also, I do think like this is the biggest hitter outside of Davison Figueiredo.
For sure. Yeah, Figgy is bigger, but yeah, he was more durable then too.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's and that's what 6 years ago, whatever, 5 years ago, he fought Figgy. But yeah, this is definitely the biggest hitter. But the thing is, this guy's a way better striker than Figgy, right? Technically speaking, like he's a killer, man. He's like really good knees, really like his striking is diverse, and he's really good. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. UFC gave him a shot at the title right away. He says he's going to make the flyweight division great again. That was his statement.
Did you see the John Kelly stat on this for the fight numbers for the UFC debutants that are dogs are 2-16 in the UFC? Like for the championship fights and shit like that. Like he said, it was 2. There was like certain details of the fight for this exact fight.
Not championship fights. There can't be.
It was debutant dogs in the UFC or 2.
Probably debutant dogs. Yeah, just debutant dogs. That's fucking crazy. 2-16. My goodness, that's nuts. Yeah. Anyways, we went through all 14 fights, Tim. Time for the Lambo parlays. We actually went through an hour 15. Not bad. I will start off with mine. I got 2 of them really quick here. Nothing to really go crazy about, but it's Van KO23. That's probably one of my favorites here. Reyes KO, regular just KO. And Shaft Cap 345 KO. This is basically a KO parlay. It's 101-1. The other one is going to be my sub parlay, Tim. It's going to be Hooper sub, Durden sub, Pantoja sub, 32-1. Go ahead.
All right. I got two two, but there one only switches one of the, so it's like just a variation of one fighter. I have Chase by sub, Pantoja sub, Gane by points, Van KO 2-3, 44-1, and then if you switch Van to points, it's 36-1.
All right. I think that's it. All 14 fights, 4 Lambo parlays. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. We got one more week remaining for the year. Then we're going to have a nice little break again for about a month. Thank you to everybody for their support all year. I need to say that. I appreciate you guys very, very much. Yeah, I mean, there's not much else to say. Tim, do you got anything for the people?
No, sir. No, sir. Hope they all have
right.
a profitable card.
Yeah. Good luck tomorrow. Hope you guys crush it. And let's cash those tickets for UFC 3.